Today we are taking yellow eyeshadow and making it grunge. Yellow can feel intimidating because it's often so bright, but pairing it with some smoky and darker shades is going to make it much more wearable. And today we're going to lean a little into that kind of messy blending to create this grunge look. And I think because of that, it's going to help it transform into something kind of effortlessly edgy. So let's dive in and make yellow cool. Today I am starting with kind of a more yellow-based undertone foundation. This one is way too dark for me, so I need to kind of mix it to tone it down a little, but it does have kind of that yellow undertone, and also just going to kind of bring the whole look together today. So this is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Perfecting Foundation, and the shade I have is Warm Linen. Why I chose this? No idea. I am so horrible at shade matching, but I think this is gonna play to our advantage today. And if you are anything like me, I highly recommend getting some foundation mix-ins. It just helps to correct the incorrect shade options you've chosen. So when something's too yellow or orange, you can mix it with a blue, and sometimes I do a little white if it's still not helping enough. So I'm just gonna mix on the back of my hand and apply it with a sponge. I like this one, sharing it out with a sponge. It creates a really nice thin formula, and I want a little bit more coverage, so I'm going to go in with some concealer. And this one is also a bit too warm for me, and this is my Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer, and the shade is 4N, so it's supposed to be neutral, but I think it leans a little warmer. So I'm just going to go in some spots that I want just a little bit more coverage. Especially when you're using yellows and reds, I feel like if you don't contain the red pigment naturally from your skin, then it's just gonna detract from where you have that really bright pigment. So this is just going to help kind of balance everything out before we do the eyes. Okay, so before we finish the rest of the face, we're gonna go on to the eyes, and there are quite a few things that you can do to really make this look pop. And one thing I'm doing is for an all-over shade, I need to set this first. For an all-over shade, you want something with, again, with that yellow undertone. So today I'm using my Revolution Game of Thrones palette. You can use any palette. I'm sure everyone here has some type of red warm toned palette. You just need some kind of yellow and then some kind of like shade that matches your skin but with yellow undertones. So I'm just gonna prime my eyelids. So like I said, I'm going to be dipping into this kind of warm shade. This one called Essos, and just a fluffy brush to just pack into that primer. And this usually isn't the type of shade I go for. I usually go for like a very fair, cool tone shade. And honestly, you can't really see much, but it's gonna help building up the pigment with the yellow. And I feel like this stuff is really important for that. Mostly just packing it, but you can do some small circles. Okay, so for the fun part, I'm taking kind of a small, dense, fluffy brush, and I'm going to go into that yellow. The small brush is going to allow for more precision, but we'll still be able to blend it out because it's a fluffy brush. So this one's called Persistence, but really any primary yellow is going to work for you. And first you're just going to work your brush into it. I'm going to focus this more on the center of the eye. And yellows, I feel like in any type of product, whether it be makeup or even nail polish, they're always really sheer. So it's okay if you need to build this up. And because my eyes are slightly hooded, I'm just going to go a little more above my crease, just so that you can actually see the pigment. Okay, so I've built up the pigment. Now, before you say no to this look because I'm looking a little jaundiced, we're going to blend with some taupes and browns, and we're just going to create this kind of like smoky look. And I swear it will all come together. But before we go into brown, I'm going to use kind of a more muted yellow to help the blending. And I'm dipping into my Sweet as Can Be ColourPop palette. And there's kind of like this muted, slightly mustardy tone, think. And I'm going to take a clean brush and start blending the edges with this one. And this one's just going to fit for like a better transition to those browns and just give them a base to kind of pick up on. I'm just focusing on the edges and just small little circles to blend it out. And as you can see, it's already deepening up just a little bit. And even though we're focusing on really blending it out, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's kind of creating more of a smudgy look, and you'll see that once we get to the dark browns. But as you can kind of see, the outer part is more of like a burnt yellow, and then we get to that primary yellow in the center. And towards the end, if you want to bring that pop of that primary yellow out again, we'll just reapply, but for now we're just going to focus on blending those edges. With that same brush, you can honestly just wipe the excess on the back of your hand. We're going to go into one of these neutral browns. So I'm thinking, honestly, Dothraki, which isn't very neutral, it's more yellow toned, but I think leaning into that's going to really help, and then just getting into the deeper and deeper browns. So just packing that into the brush again, and this I'm going to focus more on like near the lash line. Next we can start going into those browns, and again just focusing on the lash line. So I'm going into Saddle, which is kind of a cool toned brown, but I think it'll be a little more neutral with all these yellows. And I'm grabbing a different brush just so that yellow pigment isn't affecting it. And again, just near the lash line. Actually, this one I'm thinking of taking into the crease just a little, just to kind of add some definition to the eye, but more so on that outer V. Next I'm taking a flat brush and I'm going into Call, which is just this really deep brown, and going to line the lash line with this. But again, it doesn't need to be precise because we are going to be kind of smoking everything out. I'm going to add a little bit out here and then take a different brush and blend it. Okay, so I did just clean up the fallout I had. Before I bring some shadow to the lower lash line, I am going to go in with some black eyeliner on the lower, like bottom half, I'm thinking. And this is really just going, again, to like amp up the smokiness of this look. You can also add some on the top of where we put kind of that shadow as a liner. So I might do that. I'm going to do the lower lash line first. And if you're bad at applying eyeliner like I am, this is perfect for you because I really kind of want to keep that smudginess of it. So it doesn't need to be a perfect wing or anything. I'm honestly just kind of lining where I put that darker eyeshadow. So I'm gonna just take that flat brush. I kind of wiped off the excess of it, and I think I'm gonna go Metal and Dothraki. It's gonna just lower the lash line, or shade the lower lash line. And just to ensure that everything is kind of blended together so there aren't any harsh edges. You can go back into ASOS just to kind of help blend. And honestly, I am thinking of going in just a little bit more with that yellow, just to really bring in that brightness, kind of right in the center. And for mascara, I'm actually using a brown mascara. This is the Essence Lash Without Limits in brown, and this one is actually like very fluttery and kind of clumpy in some ways. I don't know, it's not very brown in my opinion, though compared to like up next to a black, you can tell. But I actually really like how this one kind of clumps and creates a very fluttered look. Okay, so we're done with the eyes. Let's go back to our base. And because we're leaning into more of a grungy look, and because of these yellows are so bright, we are going to skip blush and just do contour. I wouldn't do any bronzer with this look either, just because it's already warm enough with the eyes, and again, like a grunge look, I don't think of bronzer, I think of contour. And this is more just to add a little dimension to the face, though you can kind of do like a blush placement with this one, but I think I want to go for more of like a hollow look. So I'm using the Makeup by Mario contour stick in Fair, and I just like to do this, kind of warm it up this way, and then kind of stamp it and work it into my face. I'm gonna go for kind of a lower placement today. Yeah, I'm really liking how that looks, though I really like playing with like contours as a blush. It's definitely a different look, but I would give it a try. And then for the lips, I kind of want to stay more aligned with the coolness of the contour. So I'm going to be using a mauve lip liner, and then this one is from e.l.f. And then I have MAC Velvet Teddy, which is kind of like that neutral, cool toned neutral or nude. So I really like this combo. It kind of gives like the 90s like grunge, almost like the nude lip. So I really want to play around with that today. And I think for the lips, I'm not going to keep it super defined. Like, I'm going to line my lips but then blur it out, because the focus is really the eyes. And kind of blur it out with your finger. And then to finish the look, I am just going to add a little bit of setting spray, just feeling a little dry. And this one is the Urban Decay All Nighter, their hydrating one. I really like this. I'm almost out of it, so I definitely would repurchase this one. Alright, and here is the finished look. I love how this looks. The warmness of the eyes, we've really cooled it down with kind of just like the base of the contour, the lips, but also those browns. So let me know if you find this look wearable or a way that you can use yellow. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!